Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lautaro.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday night's Q&A edition of the Rangers Journal. Great to have you all with us. My name is Chris, and I will be one of your hosts for this evening. Joining us in our hosting duties tonight is Jock. Jock, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. It's been a wee short week over here because of the St. Patrick's Day celebration, so enjoyed a wee short break in work there. And I'm just like everybody else. I'm just itching to get this Aberdeen game on the go.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Same here, pal. Stu, how are you? Not been on with you for a while, pal. It's good to see you.
Good to be back. Thanks for having us, guys. Looking forward to a good chat on tonight's pod.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And Mitch, we thought you were going to be in the schoolboy naughty corner there. Thought you were going to do your usual and turn up late. How are you, my friend?
Never late at all, mate. I don't know what you mean. A wizard arrives exactly when they intend to. Just posted in last minute, 91st winner, mate. We're here.
There you go, mate. That's the best way. That's the best way, pal. Ladies and gentlemen, great to have you with us. Anyone who's here, as Scotty said in the comments, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you can. Take part in the chat. This is Q&A night. This is your night, and this is where nothing is off topic. We will be here to answer as much as we can over the next 50 to 55 minutes or so. Just a big shout out to our sponsors, the Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. Thank you so much to the guys over there for continuing to sponsor the pod. Great setup over there in Lanzarote. The guys are so friendly. Family atmosphere over there, really welcome anytime people are over there and they want to see anybody that's in. Go in, especially if you're part of the Rangers Journal or you're a fan of the Rangers Journal, go in and say hello to the guys and show your support to the bar because they're an incredible bunch and they do a lot for us. So thank you very much to those guys watching. You never know as well, you might even see a bit of the Rangers Journal over there as well. Folks, let's kick off a bit of, obviously, news for this week. So this week we've had, or the start of the week, we had Rangers at Paisley. We got there in the end. It was a kind of Walter Smith-esque performance. We managed to get through it, which was great, and it was all about the 3 points. Worst game of football I think anyone will watch this season, but we managed to get through it in the end. Scotland call-ups were made this week, and our Rangers Finlay Curtis, who's currently on loan at Kilmarnock, managed to get into the squad. A massive shout out for him. Well done to Finlay Curtis for doing so. I think it's a great one on that one, guys. I think it's going to be really good for him, and I'm sure we'll touch on that or we'll get some questions on that as we go through tonight. And also Rangers announced today season tickets, which were meant to be on show for this week, and they postponed it for another week due to the recent events of the Old Firm game. Rangers have decided to postpone that for another week or so, so they will come out with the updated details on that in the next couple of days is what we understand. And also, we're also getting prepared for this weekend's game at Ibrox. It's going to be a big game, 5:45 kick-off Saturday night against Aberdeen. And it's a real chance over the next couple of weeks. I'm hearing a few things online. Rangers win the next 2 games because of the way things go. We can potentially go top. So that's a really big incentive for Danny Röhl's side and see where we end up in the next couple of weeks. So lots going on. But guys, we want to hear from you, so please put the questions in, and there's loads getting fired into us at the moment. So let's kick off, as it is Q&A night, let's kick off, and we'll start with one of our first questions, which has come in from our very own, this is Doug. So Stu, I'm going to come to you for this one first of all, mate, if that's all right. Doug has kicked us off by saying, with season ticket has been held back a week, do you think the club will have another announcement about the issues at the last game, and that's why they pushed the tickets renewals back? What do you think, mate?
I think that's probably going to very much be the case. Yeah, I don't know. I felt the announcement was kind of a bit of a Snyder, if you know what I mean, like holding it back. I feel that it's kind of, I may be totally wrong, but it's a kind of to teach the fans who did run onto the pitch and react to the invading Celtic fans. It's a kind of a, this will teach you. You kind of get pushing the season ticket availability back a week. So I didn't really feel that was a very great announcement. I kind of thought of it quite poorly, and I'm anticipating maybe they're waiting to try and identify people and hand out bans before they're letting all the season tickets out. But I did feel for the majority of kind of good fans who go along to games and behave themselves is that's a bit of a snide announcement, I thought. But don't know what you guys think.
Absolutely. Mitch, what's your take on that? Obviously, Doug's asking the question there about, do we think this is maybe another announcement coming? What's your overall views, pal?
I'll be honest, mate, I've set a foot in two camps. I've got one foot in Stu's camp there that you're like, it reads maybe a bit poorly worded, the statement, as if they're like, we're waiting to point the finger at you and say, you've been a very bad boy and we want to deal with you later on.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, I think if you look at the statement that the club put out on, was it Tuesday? Obviously following what happened, obviously, at the game, I think it kind of sets a precedent, not just to fans, but also to the SFA, the police and stuff, that they are taking it seriously and they're not just going, let's cash grab it. And I think this is maybe the difference between the old ownership and the new ownership. The old ownership where, let's be honest, wealthy fans that owned the club versus businessmen running a business like a business. And I think it's maybe, we're probably still in that bit of an adjustment period at the moment where we're kind of trying to get used to the Parks and co. Let's be honest, this would have been water off a duck's back and we would have all been paying a season ticket today.
Mm-hmm.
Under the new ownership, I think they're quite happy to take a minute and go, look, we've set out a very strong statement with what we've said. So we can't just be seen to say, well, look, here's some word salad on some pages. We've got to take it seriously and show our peers that we're taking it seriously. So I might not necessarily like it, but I can kind of get how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Jog, anything you wanted to add to that? Given, obviously, as Mitch is saying, a really good point around the ownership and obviously taking the time to make the announcement. Is there anything you feel was maybe in this season ticket update? I know we were just talking about it off there, but is there anything else you would want to add in it?
No, I think, Mitch covered it quite well we're not used to this kind of approach, a business-like approach. As you say, I think in seasons gone by, it's been a case of just get the season ticket money as soon as we can because we obviously needed it across the years because we weren't doing as well as we'd like, or we were maybe still in a European competition at this stage and we were relying on that kind of money as well. But it's a different approach now, and as Mitch says, we have to adjust to being run sort of properly. And what happened, a couple of weeks ago, totally unprecedented, and it's something we've not really seen really since. Obviously, you take the Scottish Cup, take that out of context because it's a different competition, same competition, different venue. It's not happened to us at home like that. So I do think the club are taking stock, and as Mitch says, be looking to be seen to be doing the right thing, and as I said off air, be trying to appease the SPFL and the governing bodies as well by saying this is what we're doing. This is we're going to halt just for a wee while, just to let the dust settle and maybe try and identify a few of the culprits, and deal with them as the only way really we can in this situation. When you enter the field to play like that, you've kind of made your bed. You just need to lie in it, I think, in this case. So you never know, there might be some tickets come up for those in that very, very long waiting list because of it, essentially. Yeah, no, it is. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you can see both sides of the argument with it whenever you look at it. So it is a tough one. Doug, thank you for kicking us off with that question. It was greatly appreciated. Just to bring up, folks, we obviously have been trying a new feature out over the last couple of weeks, which is who's guess the player, who's that Jer, and we've got another one of those for tonight. So Stu and Mitch, I don't think I've seen this yet. Jock, I know you've seen it, but I don't think Stu and Mitch have, and obviously none of the reviewers have. So let's get it kicked off for tonight, and we'll come up with the first clue. As always, folks, we give you 5 clues, and then at the end of those 5 clues, we'll reveal who the player is. And if you can, stick in the comments who you think it could be after the first clue, and we'll see who gets it right towards the end. So first clue, and before we talk about this, I just want to say I get a big, massive thanks to Doug for the graphics and pulling this together for us tonight. Much appreciated. But clue number 1 is I play in a defensive role. So there's a clue number 1. Now, I'm not going to give you anything else. Doug told me off last week for maybe giving you too much information to begin with. I'm not going to do that tonight. So number 1 is I play in a defensive role. So that should get everybody thinking as we've got that up. And
sorry, Chris, is this just Rangers players through the eras or current players at this moment?
Rangers players through the era, mate. This one's not current. That's the only one I'll give you in that one. It's not a current player. I'm not going to give any more because Doug will be charging down the phone at me, I think, in a wee second if I give away too many. So I'm not going to do that just now. But yeah, this is a player who played for Rangers, and I play in a defensive role is the first clues I've got. So we'll come back to it, and we'll give you a second clue quite shortly. But if you can have a wee think and see who it might be, we can take it from there. Second question we've got, the questions are coming in thick and fast already, so it's great to have them already in. So, Jock, I'll kick off with you in this one. Question number 2 we've got is from Baron Loyal. Would you ditch the 2 up top and go back to 1 striker? Stats for the last 7 league matches: 2 strikers, 2.19 goals per 90. 1 striker is 1.6 goals per 90. What's your thoughts?
I advocated for the 4-2-2-2. Around the Hearts, I think before the Hearts game, I wanted to see that and then sort of run with that. And obviously the Hearts game, it worked out well, but then the next couple of games it was a bit poor. And I don't think the formation's at fault for some of the results. I think it's individual errors, particularly Suter at fault for some of the goals we've conceded that's led to some of the results that we've had. For me, I listened to the pod the guys did last night on Nadiri and who do you stick up front. Nadiri's got all the attributes to be that number 1 striker. If you do decide to stick with 1 up top, I think he's getting kind of lost in the formation at the moment because he's doing all the sort of running around and all the nitty gritty work to try and free up Trimiti. Trimiti's not obviously then producing the goals that are supposed to come along with that. And I think we're harping back to, as they talked about last night, guys like Morelos, somebody that can play in that number 9 and hold up. But the caveat of that is when it comes to the ball coming in from the wingers, Morelos has dropped deep and there's nobody in the box, and you're relying on either Tavernier being at the back post, which he's not got the feet, he's not got the legs for it to make that. So it's a catch-22. For me, I would like to stick with the 2 up top because I think it just occupies more space. It gives the defenders something to worry about more because there's that extra player, so somebody else maybe in the midfield needs to drop. I just don't think we're exploiting the work rate from the 2 up top and the 2 in the wide. I think with that 2 in the midfield, I think we're missing an extra body that's breaking the lines or pushing forward and occupying space. I just think the formation's right. It's just that we're not executing it right. So for me, I would stick with what we've got because we know it can produce goals, it can produce opportunities. I just think we're just waiting on a few players just to sort of find that form that can really sort of drive that formation through and take us through this title running.
Absolutely. Actually, I was going to ask you, but are you doing double duty tonight, mate? Are you giving us comments, hands, plotting as well tonight? Is that you?
Multitask, mate.
So
you're on co-hosting duties. Like you've got 2 hands.
Listen,
I believe in you.
I think the viewers would agree. We don't need to come at you now. It's your comments in there, so we don't need to come at you at the moment because you've said you think over time Shermiti and Nadiri will form a really good partnership. They're just kind of figuring each other out at the moment. So, Stu, on that basis, what do you think of that one?
I do agree with Mitch's comments in the comments.
We just think that for socials.
First and last. No, I do think over time they probably will gel a bit better. And also, like Jock said, I kind of advocate for the the formation we're using. I think the players will obviously find more confident over time, and it's also something that is kind of new. It's like not just a kind of carbon copy. We've had the 1 up top just for so long, and the formations didn't really change so much. So I quite like the manager trying to do something unique, try to adapt to playing in the league. So yeah, I think the 2 up front will gel over time. Hopefully, we'll be able to maybe add more attacking options. Obviously, we've got Miovski there, who Roll doesn't seem to think very much of. He's not getting any game time. He's not really experimenting or trialling him in the formation. So I think at the moment it certainly needs to be those 2. But I do like the formation. And I think come next transfer window, when we probably start to see a proper Danny Roll team, probably
Mhm.
really be reaping the benefits of the formation that he's trying to implement just now.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, I'm sorry, mate. I was kidding you. I don't want you to take offence. I wasn't meaning I'm not going to come
It's
to
all
you.
right, mate.
We're
I've just
definitely
taken
going
off
to
my
come to
Christmas card list, so it's fine.
you. We're definitely going to come to you,
I
pal.
hope you like a lump of coal this year.
That's all right. But look, Baron Loyal, who asked the question, said Miovski needs to play with Nadiri for me. Miovski is much better finisher. So, what's your thoughts, Mitch, on that one? Do you think Miovski should be playing up there with Nadiri?
Personally speaking, I think Miovski can go and play in the sea as far as I'm concerned, but I think we've seen this season since he's came back. Miovski's washed compared to the guy that we've seen at Aberdeen. He's went to Spain and it's not worked out. And we've kind of taken, to a certain degree, an educated punt on bringing him back to Scotland, where you go, okay, every player can have a bad move somewhere where, you know, you just go and it's not a right cultural fit. It's just things don't work out. And, you know, it's life, it happens. You know, everybody's moved to a job at some point where you've went, you know what, this job's no for me. You know, and you go, that's fine. But we've seen now that mobility wise, he doesn't blend into the way that Danny Rule wants to play. I don't necessarily think he blended into how Russell Martin wanted to play, but I think he benefited from being experienced and an inexperienced lineup at that point, where because he had that experience, he kind of went, if I fart about at the edge of the box, eventually something's going to fall to me, and I might be able to bury it. Whereas I think Chermiti and Nadiri, you watch little patterns with them throughout the course of a game, and I think they're trying to, between the two of them, they're trying to figure out who wants to show and who wants to go. And I think that's the bit in the middle that the two of them need to figure out of, if I'm going into the box, you hang back. And if you're going into the box, I'll hang back, but giving each other that option, I think right now, sometimes they're guilty of almost going, I'm playing on the left, you're playing on the right, and we're not moving out of each other's way. When you're playing a front two, be fluid, move around between each other. Of, if you think you've got the legs to get into it, shout your partner and tell them that's mine or I'm going. And I think that's what the two of them need to kind of figure out between themselves. But it's only been realistically 6 games that they've had together. It's not a long time to, you know, it's not really a long time to form a proper opinion on a full partnership. But for me, keep the two up top, and I think we do still need maybe a more experienced striker 3 that's not called Miovski. I think that's what we need. We need somebody that you go, if we are playing in a sticky afternoon, you know, over in Edinburgh or the game against Livy, somebody that you look at the bench and you go, you are a proven striker that we are probably going to get 10 or 12 league goals a year out of, and be comfortable knowing that. But it's then finding a player that's willing to accept that that's their role in the team. Because every player wants to move to a team like Rangers and be a starter.
That is Miovski, but is it
no
not?
joke? Is it joke?
It is. He's just not getting the opportunity. I don't know why he's not using them.
Because
look at the rough patch we were going through just before we come up to Christmas, and Miovski, look at the game like Kilmarnock, stuffy Kilmarnock team, and Miovski comes up with 2 improvised finishes from just on the edge of the box, something that against Hibs away, Motherwell away, that Celtic at home, that we were crying out for, just something different. And Miovski gives you that because he just tries things that Nadiri doesn't do, and he does things that Chermiti can't do, and it's not pretty, but it's technical. And there was the chance Chermiti had against Celtic where it come across him and he had it across and it wide the post. I think Miovski scores that 9 times out of 10. I really do. I just think that's the finish and his locker that Chermiti just doesn't have.
I think there's a foot in 2 camps situation with it. I think if Miovski can kind of take his head out his backside a wee bit, and I think a lot of fans, myself included, probably forget that before he took the injury, obviously in the Europa League game, he was starting to kind of come on to a bit of form where he'd had a run of games in the team. But I think it's almost, you know, he's a player perfect picture of what's happened this season, where he comes in, does all right, hits a roadblock, and then you're almost all the way back to the start again. You know, and I think if there's a player that summed that up, it's probably Miovski, because you think to yourself, can we give you a run of 4 or 5 games on the trot right now to get up to speed? At this stage of the season, the answer's probably no. But again, I still think it kind of, and I'll fire this back to Stu in a moment, I think it kind of boils down to how Danny Rule kind of uses his subs. Sometimes I think we've all had a few moments where we've went, we're drawing a game and we're sitting in the 70th, 75th minute, but we've only made 2 changes. And you're looking at a player like Majowski sitting on the bench, and we're watching both of our strikers, who, and again, no disrespect to Nadiri, but this time 3 months ago, he was playing in the 3rd tier of Germany. It's a different level of intensity. There has been times that Nadiri's been blown out his backside. And it's understandable. So I think the way I'm going to throw that to Stu is, do you think Majowski's been a victim of maybe a bit of stubbornness from the manager?
Very possibly. I suppose you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know whether Danny Rule doesn't rate his style as a striker. But to your point as well, like I say, we've got 2 guys, and I think I've seen a comment in I mentioned in the comments that they are both kind of rookie players despite the price tags. And they do end up tiring, and it does seem like you're shooting yourself in the foot by keeping a guy who's cream crackered on the pitch when you've got a fit, ready to go striker who could play for 30, 25 minutes, come on against tired defenders. So I think it could be a bit of stubbornness. It could be a bit of he doesn't fit Danny Rule's tick list of what a striker should be. Maybe he doesn't really comply with the training regime. You don't really know what his reasons are for leaving him out, but it does seem, as I said, like he's shooting himself in the foot by leaving tired strikers on who are no longer being effective as they were at the start of the game on, and sacrificing that substitution by still keeping Majowski on the bench. And I do tend to think that when Danny Rule makes substitutions, it's all about kind of showing that up, like kind of make defensive spots, the kind of that.
A bit safe.
He's just trying to see games out is what his substitution seemed to try and achieve rather than going on to win a game. But again, he's very much kind of working with the tools that he's got at the moment. Still, despite having a few signings in the last transfer, so we might see change next season. But this season, it's troubling to see that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you for that question, folks. That was really good, and really good to get the debate flowing. Lots of comments that we've tried to put up from the folks watching, which is great. Keep your comments coming in, guys, and we'll try and get more of them onto the page. Okay, time for. So you ready for time for clue number 2? Are you looking forward to this clue number 2?
Story time, Chris.
I'll tell you what, I'll do 2 and 3 just now, right? And then I'll hand over to Jock, right? So let's do 2 first of all, right? I'm just trying to make sure I don't bring up the picture of the player, because that would be funny, wouldn't it? So let's just take number 2 first of all. So clue number 1, playing defensive role. Clue number 2 is I have over 100 appearances for Auxerre. So that's clue number 2. That's getting, you can see Mitch's wee brain's just going now, so you can.
Depends which brain, to be honest, mate.
Exactly. So that's clue number 2. I have over 100 appearances for Auxerre, is what we've got for that one. And again, if anyone can have a think. So Baron Loyal is saying Boomsong.
I was about to say that.
It's a good guess. It's a good guess. I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong at the moment, but it's a good guess that he's popped in there. And clue number 3, we'll jump on to, is I am French. So,
definitely.
So that's a really interesting one. And I think Krajek is saying Boomsong as well. So Boomsong seems to be a more popular choice. So we'll take that away for now, and we'll bring it back up. Jock will bring it up for us later in the show, and we'll give you clues 4 and 5 at that point as well. So keep thinking, folks. Keep putting the comments in if you can, and we'll see who it is as we get to the end of the show.
Thank you, Chris. I'll come straight to you with this question then. This came from Cami, our very own Cami, asked to pick your top 3 candidates for player of the season so far.
Wow, what a question that is. That's a tough one, that one. I think if I say James Tavernier, I'll probably get the show taken off air, if I'm being totally honest. So let's not go with that one. Look, for me, I think one of the bigger ones I would have said, Jock, would have been Conor Barron. He'd have probably been up there in my top 3. I know he's had an injury recently, but he's certainly going to be up there, I would imagine, in the top 3. I would probably put in there Manny Fernandez. I know he had a rough start at the start of the season. He had a really rough start, and people were questioning £3 million to Peterborough. We've heard the figures. Was it Barry Fryatt came out and said it'll make Rangers 40-50 million, I think is what he'd said. I don't know if I agree with that one, but look, you never know. We never know what comes out of the back of it. But I thought that was a really good shout from Rangers to bring him in, because I think we're seeing how composed he's been. And the partnership, to be fair, with Jiga in the last couple of games is worked really well for us. So I think that's looking pretty promising. Third one for me is probably a toss-up, Jock, I would say, between two. And it's a toss-up between two because both have played well at different points in time. It's a toss-up between Butland and Raskin for me. Raskin's had some really, really poor games, but he's had some really, really good games. But I'm going to stick with the goalkeepers union. I'm going to give it to Butland would be the third one for me, because I think Butland has come up with big saves for Rangers. It's at crucial moments. It's hard to follow in the footsteps of some of the goalkeepers that have been there in front of us. So yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Butland. So yeah, Connor Barron, Manny Fernandez, and Jack Butland would be the top three candidates for me for player of the season this year, mate.
Yeah, that's probably who I go. I mean, the Butland speaks for himself, because he obviously, the start of the season we had, you got our player of the month for 3 months in a row. It just shows you how terrible we were, and how much we were struggling, really. And our best player was a goalkeeper who's keeping us in games, and those draws that are costing us, heartache now, but at the start of the season we were thankful for at the time, probably down to Butland, majority of them, if not all of them, because he come up with some big saves. Stu, what about yourself? Your top three candidates for player of the year?
Can I agree with two of them? Butland has definitely been a standout this season, which kind of, again, it's a slightly, it's kind of maybe a negative compliment when you say your keeper's been one of the standouts, because it just shows you how much we've been under pressure at times. Again, I agree with Fernandez. He's very much kind of come out as one of the kind of first name in the team sheet even. But I'd also I'd also put Mikey Moore on it. I think he's been a kind of breath of fresh air. He's another lone player we're falling in love with and won't get to keep. But I've enjoyed watching Mikey Moore this season. I know we kind of took a few weeks to find the pace in the team and get up to speed, but he's certainly impressed since.
Mitch?
So just Manny Fernandez times 3, that'll be fine. No, but in all seriousness, I think for me, I'd rank it in Manny first, Butland second, and then I think for me, it is a toss-up, I think, between Mikey Moore and I think Jayden Magoma. Like, I think there's an element for sheer consistency from start to the season. Yeah. Where I get that Magoma's found himself out the team at the moment now, but we know the reasons behind that. But realistically, it's because we've purchased Romans and we're always likely to play our own in front of a lone player. But I think there's a bit of shiny new toy element where, when it comes to Romans, where everybody kind of forgets what Jayden's done at the start of the season for the first kind of 2/3 of it. So I think probably on merit, you'd have to put Moore in. But I think for me, I would probably put Magoma in.
Yeah, I agree. He's, for me, I kept shouting for him earlier on in the season, obviously before Romans come in, because, as you say, consistency-wise, he's not really put a foot wrong. And for such a young age as well, he's thrown straight into the deep end, and he just, he gives you everything. And I think that at that point, it's all we can sort of really ask for. The quality side and then the influencing games, comes second. When you're that age, it's all about getting on the pitch, getting the minutes under your belt, and making sure that you're competent enough to do the job. And he's more than proved that his time so far. And I say it's unfortunate a player like Romans has come in, because he's just that next level above. It's where Magoma will be in 2 or 3 years' time, isn't it? He's added the attacking side to his game, which is what obviously we've seen that at the weekend, and we're thankful that he's starting to contribute in that way, because you could see it there from the small cameos he had, and then sort of building into his time in that position. You could see it was starting to come and what he could offer. And then, finally we got the golden ticket, as they say, the 3 points because of that, because the goal was made in Belgium. It's one decent pass. I think Rasmus played in about 6 months and sets up the goal. We'll stick then with our question from Doug here. This is a wee international one, so I'll come back to you, Stu, on this one. Finlay Curtis called up to the Scotland squad, as we touched on at the start of the show. Do you think it was right to put him out on loan?
I think the proof's in the pudding. He wasn't getting a chance at Rangers, really. I would have always preferred to play Curtis, but he's had a chance to play consistently, and next thing you know, it's in the Scotland squad. We should be playing at Rangers, I think. But yeah, obviously he's had a chance to play, show what he can do consistently, and he's reaped the rewards of it.
Skeptics out there might say that he's only got a game for Scotland because he's now playing for Kilmarnock. Chris, what do you think?
No, I wouldn't agree with that, Jock. I would say I think he's fully deserving of it. I think when Finlay Curtis came in for Rangers at the start of the season, I think everyone could see the talent the boy had. It was a big topic of debate on here between us all. I remember you and I, Jock, we had a good conversation about it one of the pods about should you let him go out on loan or should we stay? And I think we were on just before he went out on loan. We spoke about keep him here and do it. And look, I think I watched them for when Kilmarnock went 2-0 up against the other side of the Glasgow team, and they played on that one, and I thought he tore them apart that day. They just couldn't deal with his pace. His movement inside was tremendous, and he did really show some really good quality. I then watched them again, the Kilmarnock game against Hearts on last Saturday night, and Finlay Curtis hits the post in one of these efforts, which was tremendous effort. And again, he's up and down that wing like nobody's business. He's got a lot about him. He's probably just missing the composure for me, Jock, but he's a young boy, right? So that will come, that composure will come. And I think once he gets the composure and once he starts to really get proper game time at the level where we want him to be, I think Curtis has got the attributes to be a top player. And will he beat Rangers for long? Possibly not. I don't think he'll be there for too long. If he comes into the side next season, he comes back to Rangers next season, give him a year, give him maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and you might find that if he continues that progression, I wouldn't be surprised if teams down at the lower end of the championship, top end of the championship, will come in and put a bid in for him, because he's got the potential to be quite good. And I think it's a really good club. Will he make the World Cup squad? I don't think he will. I don't think he'll make the World Cup squad. I think this is more just get him in, get him to feel around the squad, see how it goes, and just see what he can bring. But to be fair, if he comes in and does well, and he does well between now and the end of the season for Kilmarnock, maybe there is a chance there for the World Cup squad. But I really like him. I think he's a great player, and I really just wish Danny Rowe had kept him, because I tell you one thing, I would put him in the side over Gassama any day, or Scott Wilson at this rate. If I'm being totally honest, I would have him in the side over those two at this moment in time. And I think he would have brought a lot to Rangers if he had stayed in our team.
Yeah, well, Mitch, this is it. He was farmed out on loan because we brought in an established international, £9 million, Danish winger. That's the only reason he's there, isn't it?
I'm just going to burst the Finlay Curtis bubble, and I'm sorry, like, somebody has to be the adult here and just let's just put it out there. Let's limber ourselves up for this one.
Jock, switch this guy off before he even goes there, because we're going to lose it. We're going to lose all the viewers we've got if he comes down this route. So let's just switch him off. Sorry,
listen, they can boo in the comments. I don't care. But I think what we all need to have a serious grown-up conversation about Finlay Curtis. Finlay Curtis is at a stage in age in his career he had to play week in, week out to get consistency and to get first team ready. And if we're all completely honest, he was not ready to make that step up into the first team right now. Was he ready to do it in cup games? Absolutely, against lower level. But would you want to put Finlay Curtis in a Rangers shirt right now against either Celtic or against Hearts and have an honest answer with yourself? And if you're honest, you know the answer to that question is no. Is he the player that you're going to see? Is he the player that you wouldn't mind seeing for half an hour against Livy at the moment? Absolutely. But at the stage of his career, it's unfair on him and unfair on us as a club to do that to him. And I think the 6 months away to Kelly gets him 6 months of proper football at a first adult team level, where he'll probably play, give or take, say about 20 games all in, all thrills, all spills come the end of the season. That's 20 more or less full games that he will play under his belt, which will be more senior minutes than he'll have played in 6 months than he will have in 18 months at Rangers. Which, if you put that into perspective from an experience perspective, he's hands down at that point comes back to as a much better player in the summer. When the likes of Mikey Moore at that point goes back down the road to Spurs, which there is no guarantee Mikey Moore comes back in the summer, which in an ideal world he does. But if we're all being honest here, there's about 3 different spinning plates over in Tottenham of if they get relegated, he stays. Probably unlikely they get relegated. But either way, a new manager wants to run the rule over him, and there's no guarantee that he stays where he is. But
so much is Leon King coming back to play beside Fernandes then?
Absolutely not. Leon King's getting sent to the Ballers League, mate. I'm not really that bothered. But genuinely though, Finlay Curtis does come back to us in the summer with more first team level minutes under his belt than he's had in 18 months at Rangers. That's only a good thing for us in the future. Now, as Chris said, is he here for a long time thereafter? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing that we have done is for his development, we've sent him away to go and get a measuring stick over a 6 month period to see is he capable on a domestic level. And I think most people would agree, so far, while he's been at Kelly, he's proven that he is capable at a domestic level. But there's a difference between playing for Kelly and playing for us. And I think that's the bit in the middle that people need to have that honest conversation about. I love the boy as much as anyone else because he's one of our own and he's came through the academy. But we've done it with too many academy graduates before, where we've put the weight of the world and the pressure of the shirt on their backs before they've even kicked their backsides on the pitch yet.
Some young cubs can take that pressure though. I think think he's one. I do think he's one that could take that, the weight of that shirt. Yes, he had a poor first half at Ibrox earlier on the season, but the entire team was poor, and you can't really fault him for that. Was European. He's done well in Europe, and he got a couple of assists and League Cup. Scored goals left, right, and centre. Looked comfortable. I just do think he just needed a bit more run in the team and just a wee bit more opportunity, and that should come from Danny Rose saying, right, this is what I want you to do, and if he's not doing it, take him to one side and say, look, you need to do this. Because look at Gassama. Look at this, the stuff Gassama does over and over again. Defenders know what he's going to do. He's going to chop, he's going to chop, he's going to chop, or he's going to fake, he's going to fake, and he's going to fake. At that time, he's doubled up, he's tripled up, and there's nowhere for him to go. Do you not think Danny Rose sitting with him, tearing his hair out with his video analysis team going, you're doing the same thing every single time you get the ball down either side, you stop, you don't deliver the ball. Why are you not putting it in first time? And if there's nobody there, there's nobody there. But we're wanting you to do that. We're not asking you to stop. So why are you doing it? But we're now sitting here 3 to 6 months later, and he's still doing the same thing. And he's frustrating me. I think Finlay Curtis could do a hell of a lot more than what Gassama's offering us at the moment. I really do.
I think the issue when it comes to that, sorry, Chris. I think the issue when it comes to that is Gassama's is his own special animal. You need to pop that in the corner. Because personally speaking, if I was in the coaching team, I'd have taken that out the back and leathered it until it done what I wanted it to. But unfortunately, we don't live in that era of football that you're allowed to go and do that now. Players cry, and that we can't have that anymore. But I think Gassama and Curtis, they're 2 different types of player. But I think Gassama's one of these players that nobody expected the dip in confidence that we've seen with Gassama. From the player that we had the first half of the season to the player who looked like he was running about towing about 7 caravans. You know, he looked like, honestly, he may as well have had me in his back trying to run about against Celtic, you know, at the weekend there, mate. Like, he's playing with the weight of the world on his shoulders, when actually you just think to yourself, with a player like that, how fragile is your confidence that you have, 2 bad games in a row? Most other players would go, do you know what, right, okay, sack it, it's a long season, it's 2 games. Game 3, you go out and you have a much better game. Gassama's just went out there, he's had 1 bad game after the other. Then he had the game against, was it the Motherwell, with the assist that he came off the bench, hit the assist, and you think, cool, we're back, we're hitting our groove again. And then we see him again, 4 days later? And he's running about the pitch as if somebody's just like he's just watched Bambi's mob being shot.
See, can I jump in, Jock, for a wee second, just on the back of Mitch has said? So, look, I get the whole argument, Mitch, right? I totally understand it in terms of Curtis maybe not been ready, right? I'm not saying for a second that it's the same situation here when I do this comparison, so please don't people jump down my throat in this one, because it's certainly not the same comparison, but you'll know what I mean when I say it.
Okay.
You look at the situation for Arsenal at the moment, right? They've got a 16-year-old in there, Max Dowman, I think the boy's name is, right? And he comes on Sunday and he gets an assist and he gets a goal. Now, he's came on a couple of games before that, and let's be honest, it's not a non-pressurised league he's playing. It's not a non-pressurised game. It's really intense pressure on that game on Sunday that he came on. That boy came on and won them the game, and he's 16 years old. Now, I'm not saying Finlay Curtis is at that English Premiership level at the moment at all. It's probably another debate for another day and another topic or question we can look at. But I just think at this moment in time, we go down that route too much of these players are not ready. And the challenge is, by the time they get to 20, 21, 22, they've been out on loan, they've been journeymen, and they've not had the chance. And then when you bring them back to Rangers, it's, they're not good enough, right? For me, Finlay Curtis, if he'd stayed at Rangers, he's 9, I think he was 18 and just turned 19 there. If he'd stayed at Rangers, yes, he might not have got every single game, but that boy would have developed more, I think, in terms of how he's coming on versus what you'd have seen elsewhere, right? And I think he would develop more at Rangers. Now, I know some comments saying let's not compare him generational talents with Curtis. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to say in this situation is, if a player is deemed good enough to play regardless of the age, they should be given that opportunity. And Arsenal have done that with Dowman down there. I'm not comparing the two, but they've given them that opportunity. And you see it in other leagues in Europe as well, where they give 16, 17, 18-year-old boys the opportunity and they ask them to play and they play regularly in pressurised games. For some reason in Scottish football, that seems to go the other way. And we seem to think that putting these boys out to your Kilmarnocks, your Motherwells, your Aberdeens, whatever it may be, is going to be better for them than here. You watch some of the games that don't involve Rangers and Celtic and they're absolute dross, some of these games, right, that don't involve us. Or the lower end of the table sometimes are a bit dross. Why not have them at Rangers and bring him on in 20 minutes to go and give him that opportunity to go make the difference? And if he does stand out, then you give him the next game, then you let's see how his run goes, and that will build his confidence up. So for me, I think we're always too quick to turn around and say they're not at the age where we want them to be, so we need to move them on. I think you lose players that way too much, and I think they need to be given a chance. Especially Rangers is a tough one because it's hard to give that opportunity because it's all about winning. But I think sometimes we just need to maybe take that chance and say, there's a boy with talent, let's give him the opportunity and let's see where he gets to.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on, Chris. And I think you're looking at, like, ideally, Curtis is the sort of player you bring on with half an hour, 40 minutes to go because our game's already put to bed. But Rangers haven't been able to put teams away like that for the best part of maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer. We've not had that luxury, whereas other teams have. Like, take an example, look at your boy Dope that Celtic had. They were able to bring him on and give him loads of minutes because they were cruising, and they were, they had all the opportunity in the world to, and then look where you ended up at Liverpool, didn't they? So it just shows you, if the team's performing, you can give your youth that opportunity to thrive in an environment where the team's winning. So it's just an easy fit, isn't it? We'll jump then to the next clue for our guess who, or guess the player. So we're up to clue number 4, and this brings us to clue number 5. I signed for Rangers 4 days after winning the World Cup. So he's French. He's won a league title with Rangers. He's won the World Cup. It's not too bad. Any guesses yet, folks? Fire it in the comments. I think this Boom Song was up there. I think it's the most popular one.
It's definitely Boomsong.
Aye.
One of the greatest bald centre backs you'll ever see in your life.
So, Mitch, I'm going to ask you, read through the things again and come back and say, do you still definitely say it's Boom Song?
See, I don't like it when you do this to me, Chris, because last time you done this, I had the right answer. You made me question myself, and then I ballsed it. But
So I'll ask you to question yourself again. Do you absolutely think that's 100% Boom Song? Before you answer, Stu, do you think it's Boom Song? There's a question for you. Do you think it's him?
I did before you went down this road of the let's think again.
I could be throwing you right off track here. Maybe he's got the right answer. I'm just trying to throw you off track here. You never know. See, it could be
I'm
a
ten
double
toes down
standard.
on this one.
I'm staying the course. I'm staying Big Boom Song.
Spot on. Okay, well, we'll reveal it in a minute or two. We'll give you another couple of minutes to have a think. We'll reveal it in a couple of minutes for them. See where we end up.
I can't wait for it to be an obscure player from 1932 or something.
You never know, mate. You never know.
Chris is like, he sailed himself over in a handboat.
Listen, this was all I'm going to say. This was Doug that brought this one together. I'm not taking the credit for this one, so this was all Doug's work. This one, so thank you to Doug for this one. And if you don't like the answer when we give you the answer, then you can have a good conversation with Doug the next time he's on. So we'll see how that goes.
Last time I done that upset Doug.
You don't touch Tab. Don't bring Tab into it.
Oh no, don't bring Tab into it.
So for our next topic, boys.
On that matter, we've got a couple of questions still. There's one that's came up from William Holmes, and this is a good topic of conversation. So, Jock, let me come to yourself. Start with this one. What areas do we need to strengthen in the summer, in your opinion, mate?
I think Doug put it quite well. What areas do we need to strengthen in the summer? For me, it's goals and creativity. We shipped the guts of 60 plus goals there in the summer. It's not been replaced. No matter you can try and dress it up whatever way you can. We shipped 60 goals. We didn't replace it. Simple as that. And the creativity side as well is just we're too sort of one dimensional. We're not using the ball as well as I think we should be using it in this league. Traditionally, we've had somebody that can split defences and just create different types of opportunities. And another thing we're not doing is shooting from outside the box as well. We're missing a midfielder that can chip in with 12 to 15 goals a season as well. Let's look at last season. I said we shipped 30 goals up front, but look at Cherney. Cherney contributed with 20 plus as well. So there's 60 goals, 80 goals a season between three to four players there that we've just never really recaptured. I don't know. We brought Olsen in thinking he could be the man that could try and even get half of what Cherney got last season in the length of time, but he's not that kind of player. That's evident now. He's not going to be that type of player at Rangers. That's for sure. So certainly that's areas of concern, isn't it? We've brought Nadirium, having Chimiti there. We're going to have to get another striker in. And actually, I was thinking about this there the other day there about when we did win the league. We won 55. We had four strikers. We had Jermaine Defoe, we had Cedric Hitton, we had Roof, and we had Morelos. So you had four strikers, but you had the one veteran striker that could give all that know-how and experience of playing in the Premier League and playing in different leagues around the world to those guys, and that helped us no end. And I think that came from the manager. Gerrard pushed to get somebody like that in, and I think that's one of the biggest things that helped us get the league over the line was the fact that we had a striker like that could come on and do a job, even though he's not got the minutes and the miles and the legs, but has that clinical side to him, and he proved that for the 2 years that he was with us. So for me, again, it's the attacking side that's up front, and it's that right hand side that's been giving us bother for years now, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a good point you make about the Gerrard situation when we won the 55, because I think he'd said recently in an interview with Super Ali that Roof was one of the ones that he nearly spat the dummy out over because Rangers were a bit humming and hawing with it to sign him, and he spat the dummy out over that one to get him in. And I think you're right. I think when Ruth came in and Itten came in, everyone thought that was the end of Morelos at that point in time, but they obviously didn't go with it at that point. Stu, what's your thoughts? What areas do you think Rangers need to strengthen this summer? I think just on this one before you answer me, I think there's been a comment today, I've seen it in the press today, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently Barry Ferguson has leaked in one of his podcasts that Liam Kelly apparently signed a 2-year deal. It's just not been announced yet. That's in the press at the moment. It's all over the media just now. So that kind of says maybe the goalkeeper situation has maybe showed up. But Stu, would that be one of the situations for you in terms of the goalkeeper situation? Is Liam Kelly a good enough backup goalkeeper to Jack Butland, or to the point we're talking about Butland earlier, is he maybe one we need to start looking at? Because again, his contract's up maybe in, I think it's 18 months time or so. But what's your overall thoughts, Stu, in terms of the areas we need to strengthen him?
Just on the goalie thing, I do see, I know it's the 18 months his contract's up, but I do see Butland staying with us. I think we're probably a good level for his playing at. I don't know if MD's going to take him anywhere that he'd get better game time, better kind of glamour fixtures that he gets to play in Europe, and obviously the biggest derby in the world he gets to play there. So I think he'll stay. I think Liam Kelly is a good number 2, and if he's happy to continue that, then I think the goalie situation is pretty much kind of sorted. I'm quite happy with them too. I think defensively we need to add numbers, add players. Obviously Giga will be going back down south. Fernandez a stick on for a starter, but I think Suter's probably like a good number, a good third choice, like a good defender to bring on. Ideally, if somebody gets an injury, if somebody gets tired, then obviously I don't think Cornelius will appear for us again either. So we definitely need a couple of tried and tested centre backs. Probably need to be looking at wide options as well. Again, Mikey Moore will be going back. Skov Olsen, who's not really the kind of pacey, putting balls into the box midfielder we thought he was going to be. So we definitely need kind of width and pace. So we'll probably need wide players. Finlay Curtis hopefully come back and do that. But in addition to what Jock said, we need 2 or 3 defenders, some wide players, and obviously we need to add to our goal contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, what's your thoughts on this one? Anything in particular you want Rangers to look at in the summer?
I think there's a lot to look at, because I think even outside the obvious, to be fair, I'm not going to lie here. I'm reading out Andrew's comments there. I'm probably fitter than John Suter. I'm not going to lie at this point. At least my knees aren't even moan.
That's got to be the comment.
I just got the mechanic to get them fixed.
Tremendous. Andrew gets the comment in the right on that one, so that's tremendous. Well done.
I think genuinely though, if you look at the back line though, like the keeper situation, Jack's been fine all season. Like, okay, he's had 1 or 2 clangers, but right now, is the keeper position a priority? Probably not. Would I extend Jack? Again, maybe not, because he's going to be 34 next year. So he's closer. At that point, he's closer to the sunset than he is the sunrise in his career. And I think maybe next year, I know that if you're about to hit maybe a Brad Friedel number here, I'm about to belt one of you.
Say God.
Thanks for your time. No, I think genuinely though, I think the keeper position is something that's more likely not this summer but next summer position to look at, where we probably look at bringing in a keeper who's maybe 22, 23 to be Jack's understudy for a year, with the view of natural progression taking over from him. But in the back line we lose Max Aarons, which we can all debate amongst ourselves how much a loss that is. Giga goes back, Magoma goes back. So in the back line, we're again needing another left back. We're needing at least probably 2 centre backs. But arguably though, Enciala's still got to come back, but we don't necessarily know what that situation sits at there. I think realistically he'll probably stay in Belgium. But again, as always, it's no over until it's over.
Yeah.
But equally, I think there's a lot to look at when it comes to departures as well, because I think this could be the summer that probably both Raskin and Diamandi could go. And at that point, we're looking at the belly of a whole new centre midfield at that point, in the centre of the park. We need new wingers. I don't think we need a new striker as such. I think we need Majowski out and a replacement for Majowski coming in. I think the front two strikers, but admittedly, again, with some of the money that was getting bandied about for Chermiti in January, if a team comes in and offers us upwards of £20 million for him, given the fact that 15 was floated about in January from Turkey, would be kind of stupid to turn that down, because no matter what way you look at the Chermiti deal now, again, I like Big Chermiti. Like, I've probably rightfully or wrongly defended him from day one. But the issue that you've got with him is the price tag that comes with him, but there's also a sell on, but the wage that comes with the fee that he came to us on. He's probably somewhere on the guts of 30, 40 grand a week, somewhere in that kind of region. But Everton are due a certain portion of money, obviously, if we sell him for profit. But then you factor in the wages we've paid him for a year. There's not a huge amount of profit in selling him. But when you start to factor in, well, we've already paid him a year's worth of wages at, let's say, 35 grand a week, just chuck that in the middle of between 30 and 40. And then Everton's sell-on fee and everything else will probably break even, if we're lucky, on the transfer.
Yeah.
So I do think where Chermiti could potentially make us a lot more money is, and again, I've made the point previously, Portugal aren't exactly given a lot of massive options as strikers. If they have a couple of injuries leading up to the World Cup or so, it's a long odds shout, but considering he's already in the under-21s team with them, there's maybe an argument he maybe becomes a late injury call up to the World Cup squad, gets a couple of minutes, and before you know it, his transfer value's been pumped up a little bit. But just to come back on Doug's 40 grand a week point, Doug, when you're talking about a transfer for a player of nearly £10 million, the wage is proportionate to the fee. There's not many players moving around for that sort of money that are on less than 30 grand a week. Bear in mind he was at a Premier League team before he came here.
It's a good shout, Mitch. I wouldn't too disagree with the value of the salary. Where I would disagree with you on is the World Cup squads. Look,
absolutely.
Mitch, I know he's turning it on against Celtic and Hearts, right, in a couple of games, but look, he can't hit the back of the net against Livingston. He can't hit the back of the net against St Mirren there. And the chance he missed on Sunday was an absolute embarrassment. I mean, and I'm one for saying that this guy can come good, but I think we'll be waiting until the next decade before this guy comes good, because I genuinely just don't see it. I think he's given his best so far, is my thinking on that one side. I don't see it. But look, Mitch, I always take your points very well, and I think you do, but I agree with the guys. You're smoking something tonight, you really are, because that's just that.
Genuinely, watch this space. Let me throw a name at you that most of you will remember from way back when. Eder was an absolute humming club level striker, but went to every major tournament with Portugal while he was still an international. Just saying, that can be Chermiti's role.
I think if Chermiti goes to the World Cup, it'll be like the rest of us. We'll be buying a ticket to one of the games. That's the only way he's going to the World Cup.
Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the show, folks. So I just want to kind of wrap us up on the guested player, who's that, Ger. So let's bring it back up on screen. There was your 5 clues. Again, thanks to Doug for bringing this one together. Clue 1 was I played a defensive role. Clue number 2, I've had over 100 appearances for Auxerre. Clue number 3, I am French. Clue number 4 is I won 1 league title with Rangers. And clue number 5, I signed for Rangers 4 days after winning the World Cup. Are you still sticking, Mitch, with Boomsong?
Aye, 10 toes down.
Okay, Stu, what about yourself? Are you still sticking with Boomsong?
Absolutely.
Okay, I can say that somebody's put in the comments a few times now of who it is, and they're correct. And I can tell you for certain, it's not Jean-Alain Boumsong. The person is Daniel Charbonnier, French World Cup winning goalkeeper and former Auxerre player who won 1 league title with Rangers in 1998-99 under the Dick Advocaat era, and he signed for Rangers 4 days after winning the World Cup. So thank you, Doug, for bringing that together, and thank you for everyone for playing along with that. That was absolutely tremendous. Really good one. Really good one. And I actually forgot this guy played for us. When Doug said it to me earlier on, I said, you ever remember Lino Letizzi the goalkeeper. I thought it was him, if I'm being honest. But Lionel Charbonnet, you look back at some of the saves he pulled off for us, it was quite good. So there you go. What do you think of that one, Stu?
Disappointed. To quote Tavernier, disappointed.
Disappointed. There you go. Folks, thank you for playing on that one, and thanks for putting all the comments in. It was greatly appreciated. Hope you like that feature, and we'll hopefully carry on with that in the weeks to come. Guys, we are just about to wrap up. I've got one last question I want to ask everyone that I'm going to put round, and hopefully this will bring us to the end. Jock, starting with yourself, we've got Aberdeen on Saturday, 5:45 game on the TV, hopefully under the lights a little bit. Aberdeen have got a new manager coming in. It's going to be tough. What do you see as the outcome for Saturday? Is the first question in terms of the scoreline. And my second question for you would be, where do you think we will be come the end of the weekend after all three teams at the top have played?
I think we'll be status quo. We'll be in the same position, I think. In terms of points behind Hearts, I hope it'll be a stuffy game, but I think we'll get across the line. I think we'll win 2-1. I think we'll go in the half-time 1-0 down. It'll be a place will be a riot, and then Roll give them a rocket. We'll come out and we'll get it across the line. It's going to be hard. They'll get that bounce. Your man Robinson, is a decent manager, and you're just getting St Mirren vibes, and you're just getting stuffy, horrible match to get to try and get across the line. But I think we'll get there. Yeah,
absolutely. Stu, what about yourself?
I agree. There'll be no shuffling around at the top three spots. I think it'll be status quo. But I think 3-1 Rangers. I think Aberdeen have been honking this season, and despite Stephen Robertson being rated in the league, I think it'll be too much for him to be able to turn it around at this point. I think he's still going to be putting out fires, trying to find out who the players are going to be for him to the end of the season. So I think it should be a good 3-1.
Excellent. Good stuff. Mitch, final say for yourself?
Let's horse them 3-0.
3-0.
Send Stephen Robinson back up the road greeting.
Love it. Great stuff. Thank you. Folks, we're going to wrap up. Thank you to everyone for all your comments tonight. Thank you for all the questions that have come in. Thank you to Doug for putting our guest to player. That was tremendous. Just talk through quickly some things coming up. So we'll have the Rangers news show on Friday. You'll have obviously all the daily information that we put out in terms of the quick overviews, and you'll also have on Friday the Rangers Podders predictions, which we've started coming back through with as well. So lots to come. There will be pre and post match for Aberdeen on Saturday as well. We'll see how we play out over the weekend. But guys, I think it's been an absolute fantastic show tonight. Mitch, you've just put your finger up really quickly.
I have. So I've been doing a wee quick gander at the Chermiti wages just to settle a wee debate for Douglas. Because Douglas seems to have taken this very personally at the moment. 30 grand a week, Doug. That's what he's on.
Oh,
according to that, that's taking the average between two different sources on that. 30 grand a week. So yeah, 30 grand a week times 52 weeks is a lot of money.
I like the smugness there, Mitch. Douglas, excuse me, Douglas.
Douglas, where are you, Padwan?
This will be one that I'm sure will continue in the WhatsApp groups, no doubt, for the rest of the evening. So thank you for that one, Mitch, and thank you for Doug for putting that in. Tremendous. Gents, listen, thank you so much. Great to have you on. Jock, thank you. Stu, great to see you. And Mitch, always a pleasure to have you here. Folks, we hope you enjoyed this tonight. Thank you to you for tuning in. This is your show. This is the Q&A. Thank you to our sponsors, the Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. As I said earlier, we've got lots of stuff on the Rangers Journal coming up. Please keep hitting the like button, hitting the share buttons. It is fantastic for the algorithms. It's really good getting the information out there. We do this for you guys, and we just hope that you are loving the content. And just let us know in the comments if there's anything you want from us, any different content, anything, and we'll get that out there for you. Thank you, everyone. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Good night.